welcome to a special Saturday edition of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And why Saturday? Well, because last night I ventured into the outside world for, my first wrestling show in like 2 years, and a couple of my buddies went with me, and we're going to talk about everything that happened at Rampage.
You got that right.
So,
Rampage and Dark.
Yeah. So the voices you hear are of Ed and Brian.
What's up? What's up, world?
Or Brian and Ed.
Howdy.
Or
Howdy.
Or Bed.
And with me, sitting with me is my pet dog, Maisie.
Yeah, Macy making a return to the show after her breakout performance on the 500th episode.
Yes. Yes.
Really, most of this episode is going to be about our experience from being at Rampage. I just want to mention a couple of brief news reports, news updates, because it was sometimes the week before a major pay-per-view like the Royal Rumble is kind of a slow week, so just gonna mention a couple things here and there, nothing really earth-shattering, but excuse me. Tomorrow night is Game Changer Wrestling, their big pay-per-view in the Hammerstein Ballroom. There are two ways that you can watch it. You can watch it on Fight TV, only $25, which is a really good price. I paid for my view today. And then they're also doing it on traditional pay-per-view as well. I don't know what the price is for that. If it's more than $25, I suggest going with the Fight TV coverage there. And also a big weekend because this is the weekend of the first annual, at least I'm hoping it's an annual thing, of the Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame. This is the inaugural class of 2022, and this is actually going on as we're recording. But the complete list, the complete class, a very good class: Homicide, Jerry Lynn, Lufisto, Dave Prazak, Ruckus, and Tracy Smothers.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, wow, I haven't heard that name in a while.
So that's a strong first class for independent wrestling to have a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, some ECW wrestlers in there. Yeah, I see some
Tracy
ECW wrestlers.
And Tracy Smothers and Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, ECW, CZW, IWA, Ring of Honor, Jersey All Pro, just to name a few. So, congratulations to all of them for a really terrific honor. You know.
Insert golf clap.
Yes, insert golf clap. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. The other, I guess we could talk about this because we talked about this last night on the ride home. Because this is how slow of a news week this was. Someone getting a name change ends up being your biggest story of the week, but for all the wrong reasons. So, about a week ago, a little over a week ago, WWE had filed a trademark claim for the name Gunther Stark. And apparently, and this is kind of like the running joke, WWE did not Google Gunther Stark. That's like the running joke. For those who don't know who Gunther Stark is, he was a World War II U-boat commander for the Nazis and died in 1944 during World War II. Well, earlier this week, of all people, Walter, who, like, well, it's Walter. Let's just say that.
He's like a kick-ass, he's German, correct?
I believe he's German or Austrian, one of the two.
Austrian, okay. He's a kick-ass European guy.
Yeah.
With the name Walter, he's a kick-ass guy.
Well, he, after a match on NXT, took the microphone and proclaimed himself the winner of the match, but as Gunther.
Jeez.
And it's like, no. Of all the people, you know.
Yeah.
Well, WWE a couple days ago have abandoned the trademark filing for the name Gunther Stark. So Walter is just going to be known as Gunther.
Wow.
I have my opinions on this, but because I know we talked about this last night.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts in general of the name?
Gunther sounds like a character from some 1980s comedy show. Like, that's the WWE's. Let's just say the WWE's making a lot of stupid moves, and they're just proving me right.
Yeah, I don't care for WWE as much. Yeah, I prefer like the original WWE's, but this one is just make up your minds with the name changes.
I'll be honest, because this is my feeling on this. Because I guess somewhere in WWE land, they don't like the name Walter. I don't know. If they had just said, okay, we're going to change your name, we're just going to make it Gunther. No last name, no background, none of that, I probably would be okay with it. But when news comes out that you're going to trademark the name of a Nazi, you better be expecting some backlash. And it's like, you know, like some of the places I heard, like, oh, you know, are they going to change Tommaso Ciampa's name to Mussolini? Or are they going to change another German's name to Adolf Hitler? And
or
then,
Pinochet.
Oh my goodness.
And then I'm like, okay, well, they have a Russian wrestler. Why not change his name to Joseph Stalin? Or, you know, why not change one of your, you know, Middle Eastern wrestlers' names to Osama bin Laden?
Or to Idi Amin.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein.
Mm-hmm.
Something, because that's what WWE would do.
I remember one year, didn't they have like some Japanese wrestlers supposed to be like I can't remember the name. Begins with an H.
Yeah, Hirohito.
And then they changed it to Kenzo Suzuki.
Yes. Brian Alvarez mentioned that earlier this week, and I honestly did not remember at all of this happening. But yeah, Kenzo Suzuki was at one time named Hirohito. And apparently the whole angle was going to be he's the ancestor of Emperor Hirohito, and he was going to get revenge on all Americans, you know, for what they did in World War II. But thankfully that, you know, never went anywhere. So
I'm glad it's some like singing gimmick or American gimmick,
Right.
where he sings so horribly.
Right. Because
I would,
stereotypes.
yeah, I would say this would be the idea of doing the Gunther thing would have been I'm gonna get some flack for this, a Vince Russo thing.
I don't
Sounds
think.
like a Vince Russo.
Here's the weird thing, Brian. I don't think even Vince Russo would have done this. Like, I know he, likes to push the envelope and all, but I don't think even Vince Russo would have done something like this. Because that would mean he'd have to research, like, American history and world history. So, yeah. I don't know. But it is what it is, but they've given up on the trademark of the name Gunther Stark, thankfully. And we don't have to deal with that anymore. But he's still going to be Gunther, which I guess I'm okay with, but
I'm still going to call him Walter.
Which is understandable.
Just without my nose at WWE.
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, last bit of news, and then we're going to talk about Rampage. And this actually does concern AEW. It is looking like, more than likely, that some talents are going to start getting released by AEW. According to Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com earlier today, there will be additional AEW departures in the next 30 to 60 days. One individual who has already said that he's gone as soon as his deal expires next month is Leo Rush. Peter Avalon, his contract has already ended. They did not re-sign him, so he is no longer a full-time member of the roster. But according to Mike Johnson, it is also possible the departing talent, these are Johnson's words, the departing talents could be brought back and used on a per-appearance basis, but that remains to be seen whether that happens or not. A couple of other names that have been mentioned that could be getting released: Marco Stunt, Joey Janela, and Brian Cage.
Well, I mean, I heard that Brian Cage was not happy that he wasn't being used, so I just I think he wanted to be let go. I don't know much about Janela and Stunt or Peter Avalon. I think he was called the librarian for a time.
Yeah,
that's Leva Bates. Leva Bates is the librarian.
She's not there anymore, is she?
Last I checked, she is still on the main roster.
Yep.
I saw like a result that she wrestled in the other Dark show. Wrestled in Dark Elevation.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the result says. So.
I mean, with Brian Cage, I'll start with there because Brian did bring up a good point that he had. I guess complaining is the right word, but I don't really want to use that word a lot.
Concern.
Concern. There we go. About not getting, a lack of a push. And then his wife, Melissa Santos, was doing the same thing on Twitter. But as I remind people from time to time, this is also the same woman who said that Brian Cage has a yummy penis. So, with that being said, and that is a legit, that is a true tweet.
I did not need to know that.
That is a true tweet.
I know, but I don't need to know that.
She's the one that
Oh my
put it
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Okay, can't get that word out of my
Really? Okay.
Anyway, to go back to the others. Peter Avalon, I have nothing. So I mean, just because I don't really know him as well, so I'm not gonna really say anything bad about him.
Mhm. I know
So
he wrestled like a few matches,
yeah,
but he didn't do much. I remember. I know he teamed. I know he had like some kind of faction with. I can't remember this other group. I know he's in part of faction. He's just in another faction with Ziggler's brother.
right.
That's one of them. And then, well, before that, it's like some kind of a D&D tag team.
Yeah,
And then they split. And then I don't know who was. Yeah. And then there was like a faction with Ziggler's brother.
right.
And I don't know what happened to Ziggler's brother too. And he hasn't been
Ziggler had a
utilized.
brother.
Yeah, he does. Baby Dolph.
Oh.
Baby Dolph. Do 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 do. Baby Dolph. Oh God, I hope he doesn't listen to this show. He'll be pissed. Um. Okay. Marco Stunt, cause that one I kind of feel disappointed in because he was a key factor in Jurassic Express. He was kind of like the hype man in a way, and the fans were really into him. So I'm kind of disappointed that they're gonna let him go or his contract's gonna run out. So that's all I can really say on that. Uh, Joey Janela, I just think he really likes being in the indies. Not
Yeah.
saying not saying that he's getting good paychecks from Tony Khan. I think he is, but I think he kind of prefers being with GCW. So I think he'll be fine. But the Leo Rush one, he and I said this. I think I said this once jokingly. He's becoming the Terry Funk of this generation, whereas he's retiring and unretiring so many times, it's getting ridiculous. And then they put him in this angle with Dante Martin, and he's supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
like this agent and all that. And I mean, because the thing with Lee, because we've all seen him wrestle before he got big, like
Mm-hmm.
star wise.
Yeah.
He has the talent, he has the ability, he has it. The biggest problem that Leo Rush has is Leo Rush. His ego is too big. And that's what, gets in front of him. So, honestly, and I'm sure I'm going to get people that are going to hate what I'm going to say, but I don't care. I think it's a good release. I don't think they're going to lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think they're going to lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
So. Plus, I think he's wrestling on New Japan Strong anyway, so it's not like he's gonna, be broke. So.
True.
So. Yeah, let me just double check real quick to make sure. Because I do have it up. Oh, did I pass it? I think I did. Yeah, he's on their roster, so. Yeah, he's okay. He'll be fine. Alright. Let's talk about last night in AEW Rampage at the Sports and Entertainment Arena, or Entertainment and Sports Arena, whatever the name of that building is.
ESOP. It's called ESOP.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Second of the two shows that they did this week, they did Rampage or a Dynamite Wednesday night. I did not attend that. None of us did.
No.
Nope. I wish, but I had work the following day.
I think we all did. Plus, with the weather that night, we thought something was going to come, and it ended up being nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lie.
It was. Well, I had a virtual day out of it, so
Oh,
it ended up being all right for me.
yeah.
Um, Now, Ed and Brian, this was their first AEW show. Their first
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm going to kind of open the floor to you guys, and I kind of want to hear your overall thoughts of the experience being at an AEW show.
It was amazing. I enjoy every minute of AEW. Watching, seeing all the other stars,
Yeah,
and
I
and the crowd. Oh my goodness, I love the crowd.
yeah, the crowd was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's the last like wrestling show I went to was with you guys to New York, and it was
The
with
Garden.
Ring of Honor and New
Mhm.
Japan. But that, I mean, and then there was that WWE one,
Oh, the
Payback,
Battleground.
Background Payback,
Mhm.
whatever the hell they call it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a while since that. So I really enjoyed it, and like Ed said, I enjoyed the crowd. I mean, I had to ask you, Bill, a lot of who is who because I
Right.
don't get I don't
Mhm.
get TNT. I mean, I did for a time, like a free week. But then Verizon said you have to have a package deal with us, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
like, no, that's not happening.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I can't. So I just said I give it up. I even had to give up Turner Classic Movies, but that's a whole different story. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, plus now with HBO Max, they've got a lot of
Oh, definitely.
the stuff
Mhm.
there.
Anyway, I want to divert from the conversation about AEW.
That's
And
all right.
yeah, I was actually hoping that because everyone was still slowly filing in, I thought if they didn't have enough spaces, they could take some people from the
Mm-hmm.
other rows and put them in the front. But that didn't happen. But maybe another time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I'm very happy with the seats too.
Oh,
even
yeah.
though we're
Those
not
were
on
great.
television, but oh my goodness, we saw the commentators,
yeah.
Scout, Taz, White, Chris Jericho, the demigod, and
Excalibur
right.
and Mark Henry.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
will say about the venue, because Ed and I, this was our first time at the venue. Brian had been there before with his wife.
Yeah, many years ago when she was teaching in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia, her students
Mhm.
were in this dance class, and they were invited to do a dance number at the Capital City Go-Go basketball dance. And my wife married, and I got to sit at courtside. I mean, right at the court, and
That's pretty
that's
sweet.
how close we were. That was.
Yeah.
They didn't win, but it was quite a nice experience.
But I'll say, and this is the honest truth, there was not one bad seat in that venue.
No, it wasn't.
Mhm.
Like, you could sit anywhere, and you had a good view of everything. The matches, the entrances.
Mhm.
I mean, we were able to see people come from the back. I think at one point Brian pointed out Tony Schiavone was there.
I think maybe it's been Ed.
That would be me.
Oh,
That
that
would
was
be me.
okay. That was you, Ed.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. Because I was like, who's that over there? Is that Tony Schiavone? I was like, oh my goodness. And I thought he'll be doing some interviews and all on the show, but
Yeah,
We'd do it over there.
when you said that, I was like, oh, maybe they'll have a, but they never did.
yeah, because I watched when I got home from the event. I watched the TNT broadcast,
Yeah.
and there was no Tony Schiavone being mentioned, like him like doing interviews or anything, or the other. There weren't many interviews except for Mark Henry
Right.
in the show.
Right. I think I saw early on. I think I saw Jerry Lynn like working a little bit. because he's one of the people that works for the company. So I think I saw him. But there was one individual that I did see, and I'm going to save it for the end. I want to save it for the end. I want to build this up. I want to make it like a surprise for our listeners. Right. Because it is AEW Dark, and normally I don't ever do this on the show. But today I'm going to make an exception. We're going to give the spoilers for AEW Dark. So, for any of you who watch Dark, which I'm not trying to be funny here, but I don't know too many people that do watch it. If you do watch Dark, I'm going to suggest right now that you fast forward a little bit, because we're going to talk about Rampage. So skip a few minutes ahead, and we'll join you for Rampage.
Right.
Okay, so those people have left. There were, I'm doing the math here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 matches that were recorded for Dark this week. And here are the results. The Bunny defeated Erica Lee. Aaron Solo defeated Sonny Kiss, and I thought it was a good match.
Yeah.
That was a great match.
I was really impressed.
Oh, yes.
With Sonny Kiss.
And the team he's on is called The Factory. I'm like, is it like the Monster Factory? You're like, no, just
right.
The Factory. And I just started like doing the
right.
Yeah, that's very original, folks.
Daniel Garcia and 2.0 defeated 3 enhancement talents.
Actually, I know who they are.
Okay.
Rayo, Pat Brink, and I think Keikoa.
Yeah.
They're all from Maryland Championship Wrestling.
I believe you're right. I do believe you're right on that one. On where they were. Let's see. Abaddon defeated Gia Scott.
Also from the Maryland Championship Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Lance Archer, who scares little kids apparently now.
Oh, yeah, he did. It was a little girl. I'm like, oh, don't scare a little girl.
She was a true sport, though. She defeated the kid won the match. No, Lance Archer defeated Joe Keys.
Another MCW.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I have to say that. Give a shout out to them.
Well, it's true. I mean, we gotta give, the plug for where they're from. So
they're no longer from Joppa, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Listen on his podcast.
Yeah.
So just
Powerhouse Hobbs defeated Lee Johnson.
That was a good match.
It was. I was really impressed with Hobbs. Layla Hirsch defeated Janai Kai. I hope I pronounced that right.
That was like the quickest match I've ever seen in my
That was a quick match.
Entire life. I'm like,
yeah.
What happened?
Then we had. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just intercept. If to quote like the Muppets, hubba wah, hubba 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 wah, hubba wah. That match. Got out my system.
There real quick. At one point, I don't know if Ed heard this person like screaming. She was on the other end of the building, and Brian and I were like, "Is that a Muppet?"
Oh, you said a grandma.
Right.
Like, it's a grandma Muppet grandma.
I don't know. I wonder who that was. Like, I think that happened during the Rampage taping.
Yeah.
Stadler and Waldorf might know that one. But anyway, a fun 8-man tag. The Gun Club and the Acclaimed defeated the Dark Order of 10, Alex Reynolds, Alan Angels, and Evil Uno.
Oh my, yeah, that was an interesting match. I like the part with with Billy Gunn saying, "We got 2 words for you."
And everyone pulls the microphone away from him.
I was kind of waiting for his son's going like, "You can't say that, Dad. We don't own the rights."
Yeah.
A 6-man tag: Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Matt Sydal defeating Private Party and the Butcher.
Of course, a lot of the league chants.
I didn't recognize Matt Sydal at all.
Well, he's getting a little bit older,
Right. I mean, last time I saw him was when he appeared on Impact.
Yeah.
That
was a little while ago. I don't remember when that was, but
last year.
This next match was my personal favorite match of the night, and I'm going to recommend everyone to go out of their way to see this match. Penta L0M defeating Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, that was a great match.
Yeah, that was like I agree. That was the highlight. There were like some mixed reactions to the crowd. There's some heat with there's some Sixers sucks chants.
Because Chuck Taylor was wearing a Sixers jersey.
Yeah.
And the main event for this episode of Dark, Jungle Boy defeated Nick Camarado.
Of the Factory.
Of the Factory, yes.
And the manager, I don't know his name, guts out and he just like the angry guy, angry guy that stands in the corner and shouts at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a racket. Hobo.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt. I love the whole Tarzan boy.
It's so great.
In my head.
That was one of the things I was like so pumped up for when I knew we were going. It's like, I'm gonna do the Tarzan yell.
Yeah. What I didn't notice about that song is it featured in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 movie.
Okay.
So I was watching that scene, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I know they played that song.
Yeah. Oh, also during the event, Paul Turner lost his rock paper scissors championship to a fan in the front row named Christopher.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was so hilarious.
That was kind of like a funny in between. It won't be on the show kind of stuff.
Those are like the best intermissions. Usually, I remember in intermissions in wrestling events I've been to, there's like a t-shirt guy shooting shirts out of a gun. But they're doing some like referees interacting with the fans. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of cheers for Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah, there was.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fan lost the rock paper scissors championship to referee Rick Knox later in the night.
Wow.
But I hope that Christopher is a first ballot Hall of Famer for the Rock, Paper, Scissors Hall of Fame. If he is not, I will cry conspiracy on that.
We riot.
Yeah, we probably will.
Yeah.
Now to Rampage. Jon Moxley came out first, got a huge reaction.
He did.
Yep.
First,
wild thing, you make my heart sing. do. You make everything groovy.
He beat Ethan Page in a pretty good match. This was a good match. Moxley, I thought, looked good for the first time in a few months.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about...
He was in good shape. He was in good shape in that match.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about Jon Moxley's experience, like last 72 plus hours, because it's been kind of newsworthy. Then after the match, hit the paradigm shift on the page, and then as he was going to the back, Bryan Danielson was standing there, and I saw him, and I'm like, it's Bryan Danielson! And then our whole row stood right up as soon as I said that. So that was a really cool thing there. Then we were originally going to get a tag match of Roppongi Vice and the Young Bucks, but Rocky Romero tested positive for COVID, so it ended up being Trent Beretta against Nick Jackson in another good match.
That was a great match. I love that. I like that match.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Yeah, that really was. And Trent getting the win. Nice little surprise there.
He deserves
just
it.
a heads up, guys. We have another guest.
Oh, is it Maisie?
I'm up. Actually, I moved upstairs for a bit. I have Eloise, like the youngest animal over in our.
Ruff.
Oh, jeez.
Come on. It's Eloise the cat. Her debut on that record.
For those that don't know, Ed will bark at cats and will meow at dogs.
He is animal sound confused.
Exactly.
He will never be on a wanted sign from PETA. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Then we got Hook.
Hook. Give us the hook. Long live the hook.
That was
He is over. I cannot believe how over he is.
More over than over easy eggs.
Yeah.
You heard it, people. I said it.
This was my first time seeing him wrestle, and because I haven't had a chance to see it, this kid is going to be something. They've got something with Hook.
Yeah. He's gonna get. I have a feeling he will be like a future champion one of these days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the match is concerned, I said win by submission in a silly string match.
Yeah, because he did face
of Chaos Project shot out all the silly string, and then he tacks and
Serpentico.
I call it
and
the silly
then
string match.
After the match, the factory, the manager of the factory tag team comes out and is going, "You idiots! I'm talking to you."
And he's like, "What have I said all night tonight?" So I don't know if people.
And then Hook basically clocks him out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they should get a stretcher for that guy. Then toss the stretcher with him out into a ditch.
I'm gonna say
it would be funny.
I'm gonna say something here. It might be controversial, what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna defend the thing I'm about to say.
Okay.
Hook could be their Brock Lesnar, and what I mean by that is he can be a special attraction feature for them. He does not have to wrestle all the time. He can come, he can wrestle, he can do his moves, and then just go to the back. That's all he has to do. He could end up being their Brock Lesnar in a good way.
Yeah, I can see that.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Then the main event of Dynamite of Rampage, Jade Cargill first defense of the TBS Championship against Anna Jay. Another good match.
Yeah, crowd
that was a good one too.
Jade. Crowd was all over Jade.
Mm-hmm. They were huge for Jade. I was surprised.
Do you think she'll turn face in the soon?
Not soon.
Because I could see a face turn. I don't know if it might be too early for a face turn, but she may be she may be the face. She may be a good face one of these days.
I don't know. I think that heel persona fits her perfectly.
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
Things change on a dime in the world of professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Note, folks, I don't call it sports entertainment because that name sucks.
No,
I call it professional wrestling.
It's kind of forbidden here on this show.
Anyone who speaks that word will be banished into a bird bag and then beaten with a reed.
The opinions of Brian are not necessarily those of that wrestling show.
Of course.
But Jade got the win. And then after the cameras were done, Tony Khan came out, CM Punk came out, talked for a little bit, and that was basically the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to my story that I saved up for the end of our kind of review of the night. I told Ed and Brian this while we were there. So, we get there when the doors open. We find our seats. We were not on camera, but we were, like Ed and Tony both said, we were right by where the commentators were. So, we had pretty good view. Actually, also our friend Mike and his son, Alex, came in. It was Alex's first show, too. And I think he had a real good time. So, I go up to get something to eat. For those that are curious, I got chicken tenders and fries and a bottle of water.
Same here.
So
I just got a hot dog and a soda.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
later, the pretzels. Oh my! That was a waste. I should have gotten those. They were like wrapped in a plastic bag, and when you eat it, it doesn't taste like a pretzel.
I saw that. I was like, oh, I wonder how that's gonna go.
It is like the worst pretzel I ever had.
Wow. So I walk by the condiment area, and I'm putting ketchup on, and I'm getting my napkins. And who should walk by me on the concourse but CM Punk? Now, like in the moment, I'm like, okay, I gotta get this done, gotta get back to my seat. In my head, like, the inner Bill is like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's Punk. So, and he took some pictures with the fans. And I see Ed, and I was going to say to you, Ed, look, turn around, but you were so busy getting, you were dead set on getting your food that I, decided not to tell you. And just as I was about to go ask him, that's when Punk left. So,
oh man,
I was so close to getting a picture with Punk.
Oh man,
wow.
Yeah, but not the end of the world,
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you in the future, Punk.
Yep. So that was our experience at AEW Rampage. Pretty positive overall. I'm sure it's safe to say that the three of us at some point will attend another AEW show in our lifetime.
Exactly. Definitely. Can't wait for another one whenever that is.
Yeah, when and where, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so one final thing to talk about, and then we're going to wrap up the show and do our plugs, is the week that Jon Moxley had. And this was a pretty big week for Jon. Because this was the first time since rehab that we were going to see him on television. And he comes out on Dynamite, looks fantastic. He's getting cheered. And then, just as he's about to speak, some D-bag in the stands yells out, "Get this piece of trash out of the ring." And Moxley turns around, and this is live television, and he tells the fan to go F himself, which got a pretty big cheer. And then Moxley cuts this from the heart. I'm not even going to say promo. I'm going to say it's a speech. Because for me, there's a difference between a promo and a speech. This, I felt, was a speech. And, it didn't have to be, it didn't have to be emotional or anything. But I know for some people, it was emotional because of what Jon has gone through, with alcohol issues. I can tell you guys that I've learned over the last several years that my family, until like the previous generation, had a history of alcohol issues. So I, you know, I think we all were, behind Moxley 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looked absolutely great. And
Oh,
then
he certainly did. He really did.
Yeah.
and then we all saw Moxley last night on Rampage, his first match back. Looked good in the ring. And he's going to be on the GCW show tomorrow night, defending their world title against Homicide, which should be a good match.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
So, Moxley, this is like the first big week he's had. So then, a day or two later, someone who is never afraid to speak his mind is Bully Ray. So, Bully Ray, being Bully Ray, made a comment on the Busted Open radio show. And I have the quote in front of me. And I'm going to want to hear your opinion on this quote in a minute. So Bully Ray said about the promo speech, pardon me, it was a speech, quote, "We have our demons. These demons got the best of Jon for a time period where he had to step away from AEW. I would have liked to have heard him say a bit of an apology to the AEW fans, arguing that Moxley didn't necessarily owe the fans an apology. He simply would have liked Moxley to acknowledge that his taking a leave might have affected fans who had purchased tickets to watch the performer, or for fans who tuned in to see Moxley on television and couldn't because he was gone." Your thoughts?
Fans are going to go see the show whether Mox or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm with Brian on that.
I'm going to say this. Jon Moxley does not owe anybody an apology. Not one bit. He had a life issue that it takes a lot of guts to admit to. Saying, I got a drinking problem. Not many people are ever going to say that, to other people. Jon Moxley had the guts and the balls to do that when he didn't have to do that. And what, the plans might have been, who knows? That's the least of our concern. The number one concern for the fans' perspective was the same as the other wrestlers, Tony Khan, and even to a point, WWE, because WWE helped pay for his rehab. And that is Jon Moxley's health and well-being. And pro wrestling, just like any other sport, can be hard on people mentally and physically. We see it physically, but we don't see it mentally. And sometimes people use, or not use, but people will drink alcohol as a way to help, with the physical problem. And what Jon did took a lot of guts, took a lot of balls, and I admire the hell out of that. And he doesn't owe a damn thing to anybody. He does not owe us an apology. He does not owe us an explanation. We just know he had an issue. He needed to get better. He needed to step away. He's got a kid now, and it's like, how could you not support him? And it's a good thing that he did, because he looks fantastic. So, Jon Moxley's wife, Renee Young, or Renee Paquette, took to Twitter and just said, really bad take at Bully Ray 5150, and then a thumbs down. And then Paige, who has had a documented history of alcohol issues and mental issues, took to Twitter and she wrote, "There's a reason everyone prefers Devon. What an awful, awful thing to say." And then she later said, "Hey guys, FYI, if you have to take time off to better yourself for very important health reasons, please make sure you apologize to Bubba for the time off."
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Taking a shot right at Bully Ray. I mean, look, Bubba Ray said his piece, said his opinion. We've all said our piece. We've all said our opinion. Obviously, what Bully said upset people, some people more than others. I just think we need to move on from this. I don't think we need to, make this as big of an issue or an even bigger issue than it needs to be. What happened is happened. What is said was said. And I think whatever is done is done. That's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So. And on that note, that is going to wrap up this week's episode of That Wrestling Show. But before we go, if you guys have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at WrestlingShow11. Follow us on Instagram. It is That Wrestling Show. Pretty easy to type there. And you could join the Facebook group, That Wrestling Show fan group, where we have over 500 members in our group. And, we talk about different stuff. We plug events happening. I know a topic that got put up today, which, had good conversation, was about the WWE 2K22 video game coming out pretty soon.
March 8th.
Oh, a couple days after my parents' anniversary.
Ooh.
Maybe I'll get them that for their wedding anniversary this year.
Dad's gonna look at you, and then he's like, "Joel, come here." Then he hits you in the head with the game, like.
My dad
would take the game and say, "Brian, come here," and then hit me in the head with it.
My dad would kick my butt with a lot of other things. So, guys, what would you like to plug before I go into the weekly plugs?
I run a fantasy wrestling league called Hybrid Championship Wrestling, HCW. We are on Facebook. We have 62 members so far, and we also have a YouTube channel under Video Max, and the upcoming show in next month is Red Hot Massacre, and it looks like so far I do different videos of the wrestlers. We have original wrestlers, we have legends of wrestling, we've got the independent wrestling people, no WWE guys, Sorry, that's my limit.
Mhm.
And I have videos. We have video shows. Of Star. The shows are called Star Power, Friday Fights, and Wild Side. So check us out, HCW on Facebook and YouTube.
All right, very good. And how about yourself, Ed?
Not much going on. I've been. I also have a group on Facebook called Retro Anime and Toon Fan. So, if you're a fan of like the old '80s or '90s animes, or all these like old cartoons that you remember growing up, so check out the group. It's on Facebook. It's Retro Anime and Toon Fans Unite, and we discuss like, so I have people posting like old classic anime pictures, and I post like intros from certain cartoons growing up. Like recently, I posted the show Wildcats, which is just based on the comic book, which I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, and for a while, because Ed and I we talked about this the other day. On the weekends, they used to post live streams of the old cartoons, and it was so fun because
Yeah.
I'd watch like a few minutes of it every Saturday. It was the best.
We actually
thing.
did watch some at my parents' beach house for our guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Sadly, that page is down, and we do the Facebook policy, so which sucks. And I wish they have a way. If I could find like a way to stream like Saturday morning cartoons, that would be awesome. Also, in addition to my Retro Anime and Toon Fans Unite Facebook group, I also you can also play with me on PlayStation Network. It's Night-Hunter05, and that's my PlayStation Network ID.
All right, there you go. Not to plug other friends and podcasts you guys should check out, starting with Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with John Murata and Michael Quinn. This week in the Jump segment, Sean Waltman from WCW to the WWF, plus Week 3 of the Royal Rankings of the best Royal Rumbles ever, and they review an episode of WWF Cavalcade. If you've never heard of it, you'll have to tune in to hear Cavalcade.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to tune in to find out what that is this week on Our Vantage Point. Also, check out Greetings from Allentown with Peter Winson. He and Keithy Langston, another GFA Live, as this week it is the 1992 Royal Rumble match, and this week happens to be the 30th anniversary, if you can believe it, of that legendary match. Wow. 30 years, that is insane.
Wow.
Check it out anyway on Greetings from Allentown. And check out Luke Jennings and the Memphis Continental Wrestling Cast. It is the UK's only Memphis Wrestling podcast where he watches one episode week by week of Memphis Wrestling. So check it out, Memphis Continental Wrestling Cast. If you are looking for non-wrestling related podcasts, check out The Castle Vault, which is a deep dive into Disney+. This week, they discuss Avengers Endgame.
Ooh, good movie. That's a great movie.
On The Castle Vault. Also, check out Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, where it is part 3 of their interview with art director Doug Haverty, who is the art director at Scotty Bro Records, which is where a lot of Weird Al Yankovic's albums came from. Check that out. And also check out their brief discussion on the big news of the week, the biggest news of the week, bigger than Joe Biden's press conference, bigger than the passing of Meatloaf and Louis Anderson, the announcement of Weird, the Al Yankovic story, going to be a real motion picture. Wow. It's going to sweep the Academy Awards in 2023. I guarantee it. check that out on David Ethan's 2000 Inch Weird Al podcast. Also check out, and I do forget at times to plug this because I got so much going on, the DK and Bill Wrestling podcast, where we discuss one wrestler an episode, and most times we talk about a certain year for a wrestling promotion. This week we did 2 episodes. We did one episode on Terry Funk and 1997 ECW pay-per-views, and Kevin Nash and 1995 WWF pay-per-views. And oh my god, all I'm gonna say with the Kevin Nash one is, if you like dark matches, you're gonna hear a lot about dark matches on pay-per-view in 1995.
Oh, wow.
So check it out, the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. Also check out Bill Learns Kingdom Hearts. In about a month and a half, season 3 of that is going to begin with myself and Jim Boy Star. But season 1 and season 2 are currently up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so check that out. And check out Sharks Pond, a South Park podcast where I watch and review each and every South Park episode. This week, I review the season 14 episode, It's a Jersey Thing. That's this week on Sharks Pond, a South Park podcast. Next week, it's a pretty big week, because the road to WrestleMania officially begins next week with the Royal Rumble, and we're going to be previewing the Royal Rumble event. I say we because I might have a guest with me to talk about the Royal Rumble. We're going to make our predictions for who's going to win. And Brian, I think because of the participants and the amount of space, there may be a real possibility that the WrestleMania squirrel could finally be in it this year.
Yes. About damn time.
Hey.
He tried to come down to WrestleMania one year riding a moose.
Or the WrestleMania chicken.
Oh my god, the WrestleMania
Not the chicken. Could happen. Chicken versus squirrel.
Oh my god. Welcome to Barnyard Mania.
Oh, that is okay. Oh my god.
This is some good shit. So, next week we'll talk about that and other wrestling news leading up to the Royal Rumble. Oh my god. I don't think there's anything else that could top that.
Yeah.
Ed, Brian, thank you guys as always for being on, and
Not a problem.
next time
Always
around,
a pleasure, man.
and who knows, maybe the next time around Ed might have a special guest with him.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yes. There could be an exclusive first time interview on that. So anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And as always,
Wrestle on.
wrestle on.
Wrestle on.
Peace.